Meet the Cupra Formentor. Don't know what it is? You're not alone. It's the performance offshoot of the Volkswagen-owned Spanish brand Seat. It brings Lamborghini looks to the family SUV class. Let's go for a drive. There are initially 4 models in the Cupra Formentor SUV range. The V is priced from $54,990 drive away, and the VZe plug-in hybrid costs from $60,990 drive away. The example we have here is the Cupra Formentor VZx, which shares Volkswagen Golf R mechanicals and adopts some Lamborghini styling themes. Its looks can be deceiving. Although it appears quite large, it's actually slightly smaller than a Toyota RAV4. In this instance, form has affected some function. Its sleek design and sloping roofline compromise luggage space. The cargo hold is small by class standards, even though the high boot floor hides an inflator kit rather than a full-size spare. However, there's ample headroom and knee room in the front and rear main cabin. Warranty is 5 years unlimited kilometres and service intervals are 12 months 15,000 kilometres. As this video was published, Cupra is offering the first 3 routine service visits free on vehicles ordered up to the end of December this year. Customers can boost the prepaid service package to 5 years or 75,000 kilometres by paying $1,200 for a top-up, which pays for those last extra 2 years. Part of the appeal of the Cupra VZx is it bridges the gap between hot hatch and SUV. Hot hatch touches include a sports steering wheel, paddle shifters. There is a start-stop button on the steering wheel, just like a supercar. Snug sports seats, stubby gear lever. But there's even hints of Lamborghini in here. I know that might seem a bit of a stretch, but hear me out. It might be subtle, but the shape of the air vents, the way the dash curves up, the stitching on the top of the dash, they are all designed as subtle hints to the Italian supercar brand, which of course is also owned by Volkswagen. As is the case with most modern new cars these days, we've got a widescreen digital instrument cluster and a large infotainment screen. The digital instrument cluster is pretty good, there's selectable menus and it does provide you a lot of clear information. On the downside, this infotainment system is a debacle. The decision to install this infotainment system was made by someone sitting at a desk. The person who designed it was also sitting at a desk. They weren't moving in a car. There's a big difference between operating this system in the comfort of a design studio and operating in the real world in a car. Whatever you do, don't rush the handover if you buy a Cupra. Make sure you get the sales staff to show you how this stuff works because all these symbols are really confusing. That, for example, is the navigation. That is radio. That's phone, I kind of got that one. But where's Apple CarPlay? How do I adjust the sound settings? We had to pull over and read the manual before we could figure it out. I know that sounds like we're being picky. We drive more than 200 cars a year. If it's not intuitive for us, it's not going to be intuitive for customers. So as you can see, it's really easy to adjust the temperature when you're parked, not moving, and it's daylight. But these symbols aren't illuminated, so when you're trying to adjust the temperature at night, it's taking your eyes off the road for longer than you need to. I really love the faux carbon fibre stitching on the airbag cover. I also really love the smell of leather and the quality of the materials and the stitching. The downside with the steering wheel is it's too fussy, it's too cluttered. Volume is over here, skipping the tracks or the radio station is over here. Trying to adjust the cruise control setting goes up or down by 10 km/h increments. To move them by 1 km/h, you need to press the set or resume button. Non-car people who saw the Cupra during the time we had it were divided. Some thought it was a cheap car, some thought it was a Maserati rival. While most people don't know what a Cupra is, and owners of these cars are going to spend a lot of time explaining it, the designers have done a really good job at lifting the interior of this car. It feels like a more upmarket, sporty SUV. Despite the sloping roofline, there's actually a surprising amount of headroom in here. Knee room's pretty good, although across the back, probably better for 2 people rather than 3. Back seat passengers get air vents and 2 USB-C ports in addition to the 2 USB-C ports up front. And the back seat split folds 60/40 and there's a handy ski port. While some Cupra petrol models can run on 95 octane premium unleaded, the VZx commands 98. The Cupra Formentor VZx is powered by a turbocharged 2-litre 4-cylinder engine with 228 kilowatts and 400 newton meters, sending power to all four wheels via a 7-speed DSG gearbox. When I first got behind the wheel of the Cupra Formentor, I was a little bit underwhelmed. Sure, it was quiet, it was refined, had good grip. I really liked the interior presentation, although, of course, not the functionality. And then I did the 0 to 100 times. In D for dir, in normal mode, it does 0 to 100 in about 5.9 seconds. So that's already Golf GTI speed. Then I loaded the brake and we trimmed that to 5.5 seconds. Starting to get impressed. Then I pulled over and read the owner's manual and found launch control, 0 to 100, 4.8 seconds. That is now in seriously quick territory, especially for an SUV. What those performance times tell us is the Cupra Formentor is actually quicker than it feels. It slurs off the line, say 0 to 20 or 0 to 30 kilometers an hour, but once you get moving, it really comes alive. One of the aspects that really impresses me about this car are the brakes. It pulled up from 100 kilometers an hour in 36 meters. That won't mean a lot if you don't brake test cars every day like we do, but that is very close to sports car territory and certainly a lot better than most SUVs and most hatchbacks. You can cycle through the various driving modes by either going through the touchscreen or pressing the Cupra button on the steering wheel. There's an individual mode in case you want to mix and match between fast throttle response and soft suspension, but in Cupra mode, it sharpens everything up. What's interesting to me, in comfort, as the name implies, the Formentor is actually quite comfortable despite being on big wheels with low profile tyres. But even in its most sporty mode, it is still livable. In Sport and Cupra modes, you can make the exhaust louder, but it's not actually louder on the outside, it's an artificial noise that's pumped into the cabin. It sounds good, and it corners really well, but it could be a little bit louder for my taste. When Cupra developed the exhaust system for the Formentor, they looked at all the global noise emission standards, and unfortunately for us, they had to go with the quietest one. There are so many surprise and delight features with this car. I love the interior lighting. There's ambient lighting all across the dash and in the fronts of the doors. When you're in comfort mode, it glows blue. When you're in performance mode, it glows red. But better still, the red gets brighter as the revs climb. The ambient lighting is also used as an extra hazard light warning, door exit warning, and blind spot warning. It's a really clever use of that technology. Of course, being a Volkswagen product, it's got the familiar twin clutch automatic transmission behind that 2-litre turbo. It shifts smoothly enough. It can get a bit grumpy when you're doing quick 3-point turns, especially on a hill, but otherwise it's a smooth operator. As I said at the start of the video, when I got into the Cupra Formentor, I was a little underwhelmed. But the more I've driven it, the more I've really grown to love this car. It's a really complete package, very crisp handling, but yet still delivers a comfortable ride. And it has power to burn. It just doesn't sound like it. So would I buy one? That's a really difficult question to answer. I'm really impressed with the engineering effort that Volkswagen has put into this vehicle. It's an impressive machine, highly capable, razor-sharp handling. If you're not a brand snob and you're happy to spend a little time telling people what a Cupra is, it's definitely worth a look. Please hit like if you've enjoyed this video and go to Drive.com.au to read the full review. This is the first of a rollout of Cupra models, including an electric car next year. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future updates.